Yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Mississippi, General Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start, an alliance is much different than a friendship. A marriage is much different than being a brother or a blood family member of someone. My brother and I had some knockdown dragouts.
Welcome, viewers. In a compelling congressional hearing, Congressman Kelly from Mississippi made a forceful case: alliances are not casual friendships but sacred blood bonds, like family that fights together no matter what. He questioned if Europe is now safer after the dismantling of Iran's ballistic missile and air defense systems.
Dragouts. I won't say on the air that he won any of those. He was a big, tough man. But you know what? We never doubted, not 1 second, that if someone else got on one of the Kelly boys, both of the Kelly boys would be on them. That's what an alliance is. It doesn't mean you get your feelings hurt and then we won't be there to help you. An alliance is a bond in blood, built in European campaigns in World War II. And I think our allies need to hear, and I think our president means it. I don't care what his words, he may fuss with his brothers, but at the end of the day, if another guy jumps on one of our brothers, I promise you we will be there for the fight. And I think that all this other stuff, I think our allies need to understand we will be there if there's a fight, and we will do our duty. With that being said, is Europe, and I don't really want to talk about Iran, but I have to talk about, did the Russians, how long did it take them to establish air superiority and to take out the ability of Ukraine to strike into Russia? Because to my understanding, they still have not. Is that correct?
That's correct, Congressman.
Okay. Is Europe safer today, with the exception of Turkey, which borders Iran? Is Europe safer today because we took out all ballistic missile capabilities and all air defenses in Iran, or the majority of air defenses? Is Europe safer today, and does Iran have the same ability to strike Iran as it does his strike Europe as it does his Arab neighbors?
Congressman, Iran no longer has the same ability to strike Europe and hold it at risk with their ballistic missile force.
And Iran has struck many of its Arab neighbors, many of its surrounding states, including Turkey, which is in Europe, but they have struck them. Do you think, what would make someone think that they would not strike Europe if they had the capability to do so right now?
Congressman, as a commander of European Command, I am watching that very closely. I think they do have the intent to potentially strike Europe, particularly some of our activities in the Eastern Mediterranean.
That being said, Russia's war in Ukraine has reshaped the security environment in Europe. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, NATO allies are increasing defense spending in response. The key question now is how quickly those investments can translate into real capacity. Therefore, I look forward to hearing that. General, as Russia continues to expand its military presence in the Arctic and China seeks greater access to Arctic routes, the strategic importance of the High North continues to grow. The United States currently operates far fewer icebreakers than Russia, while several of our NATO allies, including Finland, Sweden, and Canada, maintain significant icebreaking capability. How can the United States better integrate allied icebreaking capacity and Arctic infrastructure into NATO's broader defense posture in the High North?
Hey, Congressman, thanks. The Arctic is incredibly important, as you highlighted. It is one of the strategic approaches to the United States and to Northern Europe, and it's an area where the alliance does focus and needs to continue focusing. On the specifics of the icebreakers, I was in Finland and Sweden recently, chose to go in the winter just so I could see some of those incredible capabilities that they bring to bear, and we are integrating them to operations such as Arctic Sentry as we work together in the High North. And then I just highlight, I think the Finns are helping us out with some of the icebreaker acquisitions that are being worked, not in the Department of Defense, but I think that's going to be a game changer for us as well.
Absolutely. I also want to talk about long-range strike and bomber task force deployments, and they're increasingly important in NATO and the defense of NATO. What do you see our current aerial refueling capacity in the European theater to include airfields or platforms to launch those refuelers from?
Congressman, I think it's well known that you can never have enough air refueling aircraft, and they're constantly in demand. They're in demand in Europe. They're clearly in demand in the Indo-Pacific as well. We are fortunate to have the infrastructure to base them in Europe, but knowing that they will be a force that's needed no matter where the United States is projecting power, we can never have enough of them.
And I just want to double tap that. Right now, we have a floor of how many refuelers we should have. That number needs to be increased. That is the floor. That is the bare minimum without accepting unacceptable risk to our armed forces. So I would just really ask all of our commands to push up to say we do not have the refueling capacity that is required should we get into a full-scale war, especially if we get into. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
This hearing reveals much about America's strategic posture under President Trump. Congressman Kelly's vivid family analogy, comparing alliances to brothers who may clash privately but unite fiercely against outsiders, is no accident. It serves as a deliberate reassurance to anxious NATO partners amid tough diplomatic rhetoric. Why deliver it now? Recent U.S.-led actions have crippled Iran's ballistic missile force and air defenses, dramatically reducing its ability to strike deep into Europe. The general confirms Iran no longer holds the continent at the same risk level as its Arab neighbors or even Turkey. Yet intent remains. Tehran eyes potential targets in the eastern Mediterranean, likely driven by resentment over Western involvement and a desire to project power through proxies. The result? Europe stands safer in conventional terms, but the threat has evolved into subtler, asymmetric dangers, demanding constant vigilance rather than complacency. Russia's war in Ukraine provides the broader backdrop. Despite prolonged fighting, Moscow has failed to secure full air superiority or stop Ukrainian strikes into its own territory. This exposes deep weaknesses, overextension, Ukrainian resilience backed by Western aid, and logistical strains. The congressman presses for clarity precisely to highlight that Russia's European ambitions are stalled, not triumphant, forcing NATO to seize the initiative. 'Cause meets effect here. The invasion itself has reshaped the continent's security environment, compelling allies to increase defense spending under strong White House leadership. But the general warns the real question is speed. How quickly do these funds become actual combat power? Delays could invite further aggression. Northward, the Arctic emerges as a critical new theater. Russia expands military footprints while China probes for route access amid melting ice. The U.S. lags in icebreakers, yet NATO allies like Finland, Sweden, and Canada bring proven capabilities. Integration through exercises such as Arctic Century and Finnish support for U.S. acquisitions isn't optional, it's essential. The High North offers strategic approaches to both America and Northern Europe. Failure to coordinate could turn climate-driven openings into vulnerabilities, enabling hybrid probes or supply line disruptions in future crises. Long-range strike and bomber operations further expose a glaring gap: aerial refueling capacity. Demand never ceases across Europe and the Indo-Pacific. Current numbers represent only a bare minimum floor. Accepting anything less risks unacceptable losses in full-scale war. Why the shortfall? Years of budget priorities and drawdowns left the fleet undersized for peer-level conflict. Congressman Kelly doubles down, urging every command to demand more tankers immediately. The implications are stark: without expansion, power projection falters, emboldening adversaries and weakening NATO's deterrent. Looking ahead, these insights forecast a high-stakes future. Heightened spending and allied integration could forge an unbreakable shield, deterring Russia in the east and securing the Arctic North. But hesitation risks escalation: limited refueling constraining rapid response, Iranian proxies testing Europe's edges, or Russian opportunism in Ukraine's stalemate. The testimony lays bare why alliances endure. They are blood-built, battle-tested, and now under urgent modernization. This isn't headline drama, it's the calculus of survival in a multipolar world where hesitation invites chaos. If this video gave you a new perspective, then you're in the right place. Here, we don't just talk about the headlines, we break down the real analysis behind them. Because understanding a country's political processes is the responsibility of every citizen. Remember, justice exists only as long as the people stand for it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. See you in the next video.